Hi, this is Russell Pearson, and I wanted to quickly jump in here and invite you to subscribe. So, subscribe to the Marketing Report for the absolute latest in marketing, sales, and growth strategies for your business delivered directly to you. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome to the Marketing Report. My name is Russell Pearson, and this is episode number 16. The Marketing Report is the podcast for passionate yet frustrated business owners who are looking for a competitive edge. And today I want to talk about startups and starting, and that could include starting again. And I want to talk about the fact that I've been wrong. I've been wrong for a lot of years, and I want to explain that in just a moment. So I've been working in the space of brand and brand engagement for nearly 20 years, if not more. I think it's probably closer to 25. And in that time, I have got very, very deep into what makes good brand engagement. And what I've discovered is it very much comes from the founding of a business or the founding of an idea around getting clear on your vision, your mission, your values, okay? And back probably around 2010, I think it was, I had a bit of a breakthrough where I looked at the traditional model of creating a vision for your business, creating a mission for your business, and the values to support that business. And I thought that they're wrong. They're a little bit out of whack. And I was right in that capacity, but I hadn't gone far enough. And so I looked at vision, mission, and values, and I'm saying, oh, they're in the wrong order. The actual thing that's most important to an organization being engaging is the mission itself. And that's where I guess a lot of this Simon Sinek why idea has come from, and starting with why. What is the mission that we're setting out to achieve? And what are we actually trying to do as a business? Not just what we look like when we're doing it, which is really what the vision's all about. And so I went through this process, and what I did is I worked out how to define a mission, and it was based off the back of traditional models, but changing things. And so I looked at the mission statement as being something that you could make tangible rather than just fluffy, because there's a lot of people out there making fluffy mission statements. And so I broke it up into 4 categories, and these are still incredibly useful tools for you to get clarity within your own business, but I see it differently now. So hang on and listen with me as I explain the differences and how I came to them. So the mission statement I see as number 1, and I break that up into 4 steps. It's who are we working with, what are we doing for them, where are we doing it, and how are we going to measure our success. And so you didn't need to get too deep in that. It didn't need to be some existential, fluffy statement. It was clearly like, these are the people, this is a specific market we're working for, and it could just be business owners in a certain industry. It could be production managers that are this type of business, or it could be, let's say, a retail business where we're looking at a certain demographic of teenagers in a certain locality, right? So, these are the people. This is what we're serving them with. So it's our products and our services. Again, we're not going to get deep and say, oh, we're helping them achieve their goals. No, specifically, what is it we're actually doing? So what are we using to do it? So what are we doing? Where are we doing it? Are we doing it locally? Is it just a local business that's serving the local community? Does it go out to a sort of statewide basis? Or are we going nationally, or even are we going globally? So to what size we're going out, right? And then the third one was, what is the measurement of success? And this is the real key difference to what other people were doing as mission statements, because it created this quantifiable piece that we could actually measure the success of our mission based on. And that was different for all sorts of different businesses. For some service businesses, it would be that they were trying to achieve the most referrals of their type of business in their area. For other people, it was actually quantifiable down to profit, which was absolutely fine. But it was about getting clarity about what the business's objectives were regarding that mission. And so I looked at a mission that way. And then I looked at a vision a little bit differently, and I still look at vision the same way as how I did then. I look at it as a story. So I see the vision statement as not being what has traditionally been used as a vision statement, which is usually a 1 paragraph or a 2-line statement about, what are we being when we're being our best. This was a vision story where you would walk into a scenario and you would look around you, and what would you see? You would, and it's out in the future, out when we know that we are actually achieving what we're setting out to achieve. And you would look around that scenario, you would use your imagination a bit, but you would write it all down. and say, all right, well, this is the color of the wallpaper. I smell coffee because it's morning. I've stepped out of my car, I've stepped through sort of automatic doors, or I've opened a door, or I stepped up onto a stage, whatever it might have been, to actually walk into that scenario. And then you take some time to describe what it's like as you walk through that scenario, and ideally through to a manager's office of a manager who is not you, who is running the business for you. So ideally you've created a business that runs without you. It's a brilliant exercise. If you're interested in doing that exercise, just hit me with an email or something, because I've got a worksheet that you can use that would be ideal for that. So you'd even describe the color of the coffee cups. But the idea is to get very, very clear in your own head, what does it look like when we're achieving our mission? And I can tell you that even some clients that I've had back in that 2010 time tell me today that every now and then they can step back into that vision story in their own head and actually recharge themselves as to what they're trying to achieve. And I've had others tell me that they now have the couch that they saw in that vision story, which is really interesting. And it's this interesting look at the law of attraction. So a lot of people look at the law of attraction. If I think about something enough, that I'm going to attract it into my life. I don't necessarily agree with that statement. I think it's one of those things like the red car syndrome. That's when you go and purchase a red car for yourself, you start seeing that same type of red car everywhere where you didn't notice it before, because where you put your focus is where you're going to actually get opportunity from, because you start noticing opportunity in that space. So in your vision statement, if you've created a couch that's a red couch of a certain shape, if you see that out in the wild, it's going to grab your attention because you already created it in your own mind. So the vision statement's a really good one, and particularly good for the frustrated business owner. So you walk in the morning. It's before 9 o'clock. Employees are starting to go in there. You've looked through some emails and you're like, how am I going to pull myself up? How am I going to bring my energy to today so that I can actually help all the employees bring their energy to today? And one of the tricks is to close the door in your office, sit down for a moment and go back into that vision story and actually work through it and re-energize yourself as to why you're doing what you're doing. So there was the mission, talking about those four points. There was the vision story about walking through it. And then there was the way I did values. And values was a values solicitation that I would do, where the heads of an organization would actually come up with the words, but the team within the organization would say what those words mean. And that was a really useful way of doing it because it engaged people. Now, I don't mind the way that I did the declaration. I think that's still important. But one of the things I think that I tripped on back then that has very much changed for me now is that I didn't put enough importance on the founder and the creator being one with those values, rather than actually having the team add a lot more input into it. So I love the idea that the team can add input into what the values mean for the team when they're actually working within the business environment. But I think that the business values need, especially in the early days, to align to the founder and the driver of the business. Otherwise, they are trying to build someone else's ladder up against someone else's wall, because the business isn't built around the values that they care about. Now, most often than not, people will lean into things that are, that sit as their values in the back of their mind, because it's the way that humans are built. We're naturally going to move to things that actually attract or repel us, right? But once you start bringing team members on, and once you start bringing their opinions in, because you're thinking, I need to engage these people ahead of myself as the business owner or the business leader, I need to actually get them on board. You start looking at their values and trying to attract them. The mistake I made was like looking at that space. And I remember once we did this, it was a really good value solicitation. There was about 25 people at a building business, and the business had grown fairly quickly, and they'd got a lot of staff members, and the staff members were really not on the same page. There was a few disgruntled people. There was a few people who didn't feel that they were being heard. There were some people who wouldn't speak up. And so there was a lot of, the culture wasn't great. Let me put it that way. But we put this value solicitation in, which meant that we actually got everybody in the room. We put these value statements up as far as like just what the words were. And then we went around and we had everybody's input into saying what those words meant. And that was right down to the apprentice had an opinion, the managing director had an opinion, but they were the same level of opinion. And I think that's part of the issue for me. The people who were very vocal got a chance to actually be heard. Those who wouldn't actually ever speak up, I pushed to make sure that they would actually get their thoughts and their engagement into the process. And we got everyone on board. And what ended up happening is within a month of doing that program, the business had come together culturally, but the business owner, the founder, felt that they were building something that was for the team and not for themselves. And they ended up changing the entire business model overnight and getting rid of that entire team because it was no longer in alignment with them. And so my biggest change in this whole thing is it's not the old model of vision, mission, and values, and it's not even my old model of mission, vision, and values. Values are first. And this is the important realization that I've come to over the last number of years is when it comes to a business that's founding and not yet in full management, the person who's driving the business needs to own those values, because if they're not building it for themselves, they will lose interest, they will lose heart, and they won't put the same sort of energy in where it needs to be, or they'll actually run out of energy because they're trying to be something that they're not. So the values come first. So it's incredibly important when a founder is starting a business or even resetting the type of business that they're doing to get very clear about what they love to hate, and what challenges them, because within those three questions, they will find very clearly the values and the things that they find important in their own life. And by getting very clear about who they are and clear about what's important to them, they can bring those values into a business to then define the mission for what they're going to achieve. So for me now, this is the model that I believe in. That doesn't mean it won't evolve over time, because we all should evolve. But these are the reasons I'm doing it. There's nothing wrong with the old stuff. It's not completely broken, but there's a much better way of doing it, and I can see that now. So what is the values of the business? What is the mission based off those values? So what do we care about? What we don't like is one of the big reasons why we want to get clear about what we don't like, because that can often be the catalyst for the mission, because we want to change something in the world. So the mission is usually based off, we want to change something or make something better. That's where our mission comes in. And then we bring in our vision story about what that looks like when we're actually doing, achieving our mission. What does it actually look like at that point in time? So get very clear about your values, then define what your mission is going to be. And the difference for mission for me now is I really love still going through that classic 4-step process where I say, who are we doing work for? What work are we doing? Where are we doing it? And how are we going to measure our success? It's a great way of quantifying what we're going to be doing, getting clarity into the business. But I also like the idea of writing a manifesto and creating a belief statement about the sort of what we believe as an organization. So they come hand in hand, and some of those pieces of the mission are for an external audience, so we would share them with the general public, and other ones we would actually keep for our internal team, but they should have complete alignment. Okay, so their values alignment right at the top there, what the founder believes, and then being very, very clear about that and very vocal about that will attract the right people into our business who share that same value set. All right, so it's important that if we hold strong on our own values, we will actually attract people we love to work with. All right, that comes with clients, the sort of clients we love to work with, but also the team members that we love to work with. So very strong on our value set. Then we define our mission. We can break it up into those 4 steps and actually get very clear about the clarity of what the mission is. And then we actually need to put heart in it and potentially write a manifesto about what that means for us. Okay, so there's some examples of those mission statements which you can find on russellpearson.com, and I'd love you to have a look there. And if you'd love to get some of those examples of manifestos that I think are doing the right thing as far as driving the business forward, give me a buzz or hit me up via russellpearson.com or even YouTube, and I will come back to you with some examples that you can use. So then it comes in very much to the vision story and being clear about what that looks like in the future. Now, the great thing about the vision story that I haven't even mentioned yet is that you can share that vision story with others. So while you might go into your own head and actually have a very clear vision of what it looks like, it's a great idea for you to stand up in front of your team and paint them a picture of what the future looks like for you. Because you as the leader, you hold the keys to the vision. You hold the keys to leadership and the future. And one of the ways, the way to be a leader is to actually show people a future that they can get behind. And that's what that vision story is all about. So they're going to be in alignment with you because they have a similar value set to you and the business. They care about your mission, which is why they actually engaged with you often in the first place, because you were vocal about what you were trying to achieve. And then once they come into your world, it could be in an interview, or it could be in a cultural review, or it could just be in a team meeting. You start to share, and on a regular basis, share what does the future look like for us as a business, and how do we know? What does it look like when we're achieving that mission, whatever it is for your business? Now, these things all bring passion. They all bring passion into the business. The values, when you've got values alignment to you as a founder and you as a business driver, you're actually going to be able to drive your passion into the business. You're not going to waste energy on pretending to be something that you're not. When you've got a mission you care about, it will get you up in the morning. And even if you're over 40 like I am, and I'm sure there's a few of you out there that are even older, you know that you get out of bed in the morning and you sometimes fall down because you don't have the flexibility you used to have in your old legs, that they're actually starting to groan a little bit, but it'll get you out of bed in the first place and actually getting you wanting to get to work to achieve that mission. And then that vision statement will bring people with you and actually bring you to the table when you're not quite feeling up to it and you didn't bring the passion in today. So the passion will come when you start sharing some of these stories and highlighting for people what the future looks like to you. So I'm very passionate about these things, as you know, and I'm trying to help you keep the passion in your business so that you can keep the energy in your business, so you can take the next step and the next step and the next step on the way to building the business that you've always dreamed of. I think that you are going to get there, not just by because you are actually looking at this video or listening to this podcast, whichever form you're digesting this content, it means that you care. And that's the sort of people that I want to help. It's people who care about their business. I hate apathy. I can't stand people not caring about the thing that they're spending their time on. If you're gonna spend time on something, then do something that you care about. And I love the fact that you've taken the time to listen to me today, because it means that you care about what you're doing, and it means that you care about the next thing you're going to do. And I cheer you on in that next step that you're going to be making within your own business. If you'd like to get in contact with me and ask me about any of those resources I mentioned, again, russellpearson.com. I would love to hear from you there. Subscribe if you haven't already, wherever you've actually got this content, whether it be YouTube or whether it be whatever podcast supplier, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it might be for you. I would love you to be joining me in the conversations. I continue to talk about how to grow businesses even when we're stuck and frustrated, how we can continue to take one step forward and create that momentum for each of us as we drive our businesses to the business and therefore life that we've always dreamed. So I will catch you on the next episode. Until then, stay passionate, and I will see you next week.
Make sure to visit russellpearson.com for more podcast episodes, videos, and more. russellpearson.com.